Hey guys, welcome to Boxing Squared for boxing news and views from around the internet. Dillian Whyte heads into his July 28th encounter with Joseph Parker with a close to 50-50 chance according to the bookies. Most bookies seem to have Joseph Parker as a slight favourite. The Londoner, he's got a 23-1 record, he's fighting at home at the O2, he's topping the bill. He's coming off a crushing knockout win over Lucas Browne in March, and he's looking for another similar result against Parker to push his world title aspirations. It's fair to say he's coming into this with a bit of hype, a bit of momentum. And the man standing in his way, Parker, he's noted for his fast hands, a good chin, movement, and a much improved defence, having just taken Anthony Joshua the distance for the first time when he fought him at the end of March. And while the two, Whyte and Parker, do have Joshua as a common opponent, it's actually hard in many respects to compare the two performances. They were 3 years apart and at different stages of their careers. Although Whyte is remembered for being the first to hurt Joshua when he nailed him with the left hook, and Parker, he enters this fight vowing to be more aggressive after he lost his belt to Joshua, said he wasn't aggressive enough. So there were two contrasting different fights, different stages of their careers. I find it hard to read much into it actually. But there are a number of things that I do think Dillian Whyte, he needs to do well to actually increase his chances of winning here. And some of them are interconnected, as you'd expect in an individual sport like boxing. You do one thing well and it's going to help something else. The first one, he's got to be ready to turn up and go all 12 rounds at a pretty decent clip. Joseph Parker has been the distance 4 times in a row now, and for all we know, this could go all 12. I mean, there are some people saying, oh, Whyte's going to knock him out in a couple of rounds, or vice versa for Parker. But I think, he has to be in great shape. He has to be prepared. And you can see by some of this footage here running in the background, some of these social media posts, it shows that he has been putting in that work. But if Whyte has cut any corners on the fitness front, they could well be exploited by Parker later in the fight. So we should be expecting to see Joseph Parker using movement throughout the fight. He'll want to keep Whyte setting and resetting his feet, and he won't want to allow him to settle. And we know Whyte will want Parker to stand right in front of him like a stationary target. But that's not going to happen. The New Zealander, he will be dragging Whyte around the ring, trying to fight his fight and sap some of Whyte's energy reserves in the process. So having good cardio, coming ready, is going to be key. And one thing that's related to that, and it could help in this regard, is Dillian Whyte, he needs to be able to cut off the ring. Whyte sometimes does have a tendency to sort of just trail after his man as opposed to actively cutting off the ring. And there were several examples of it in the Helenius fight. So cutting off the ring is going to be something that he needs to do well. Otherwise, Parker will continually be able to sort of, get where he wants to go to set up his next attack or to avoid Whyte's latest flurry of punches. If he's able to sort of just get around the ring at will, it's not going to be good for Dillian Whyte. If he can't manage to cut him off at times, he's going to find it hard to get some of his own work away in the way that he wants to. And if Parker is using movement, dragging around the ring, slowly tiring him out, Dillian Whyte, and this is the next point that I'm getting to, he needs to be economical with his punches. He needs to be efficient. He needs to make them count. We know Whyte is a guy who really puts the whole of his body, he throws the kitchen sink into his work, into the punches that he's throwing. He really gives it all. And he doesn't want to be in this fight expending unnecessary effort punching air, which he has been prone to doing in past fights. I mean, you can think probably yourselves of examples from the Chisora and Helenius fights in particular, where he was really throwing some leather and sort of just hitting air. I mean, some of the shots telegraphed, easy to see, a lot of expended effort. And given Parker with a good defense is going to be pretty hard to hit at times, you'd imagine, Whyte will want to get the most bang for his buck for his work. He won't want to just be throwing needlessly, using up his energy reserves. And this feeds into my next point. If Whyte is pushed into the later rounds and he's expended a lot of energy. I mean, both guys will be sort of tiring to some degree as the fight goes on, but later on, Whyte needs to be able to keep his form, keep his shape, not devolve into reckless, wild swings, Hail Mary sort of shots that leave him off balance and then leave him needing a second or two to collect himself and reset. And while Helenius in particular may not have been able to make Whyte pay when he started to get a bit ragged, someone like Joseph Parker, who's quicker, has a superior skill set overall, better speed, he might be able to actually take advantage of when Whyte is getting ragged and sloppy. So he needs to be conscious of not just overcommitting or just being outright reckless, because he could be made to pay. One of the ways that I do see Whyte being able to be effective against Joseph Parker is body punching. And Dillian, the body snatcher Whyte, he is definitely one of the best body punchers in the heavyweight division. It will be one of the best ways that Whyte can attempt to try slow down and break down Joseph Parker. And if Parker, he does start to be wary of the body shots, if they're coming in thick and fast, he's starting to, get a little bit of hurt, it's going to possibly free up openings upstairs for Whyte to take advantage of, land a left hook or something similar. And in respects to Joseph Parker and the body, or his body, it is a little, in my view at least, a bit untested two-body punches. I don't really recall anyone really working him over for a sustained period of time. And given it is one of Whyte's strengths, I do think he should be looking for those shots if they are available. So I do expect Whyte to work the body early and often. And like I've alluded to, Dillian Whyte, he throws a lot of punches. He puts a lot of effort into his work. And he can get a bit ragged, can get a bit off balance at times as he looks to sort of connect on something big. And that brings me to his defense. By virtue of what I've been listing and what I've been saying, Whyte can be hit. We saw Derek Chisora having quite a bit of success with his jab and also landing other clean work on Whyte. Even Robert Helenius, before he went into sparring mode, he had early success and he rocked Whyte with a couple of big shots early on. So Dillian Whyte, by way of trying to get his own work off, he is there to be hit at times. So he's going to have to be very wary of the counter, especially against a guy like Joseph Parker, who can whip in a shot faster than most other heavyweights. If he's not careful, he could be pot-shotted all night by Parker. So he needs those hands up. He needs to be aware of what's likely to be coming back on what he's throwing. I mean, it's easier said than done when you're looking to put the hurt on and throwing a high volume of punches. You're always going to be, having something coming back your way. But if he is getting countered a lot by Parker, and maybe even hurt, it could potentially affect the outcome of the fight, affect his game plan. And Whyte and Parker, they are effectively the same dimensions. So another thing I'll be looking for and interested in is the battle of the jabs. Parker, he's got a fast jab, a double jab, but it does tend to fall away as the fight wears on. Whyte's jab is decent, but I would like to see him using it throughout the fight, and not just as a rangefinder, but as something to work off, to obscure Parker's view momentarily to help get off a combination or whip in a vicious body shot. But one thing that Whyte can't do and expect to win is just to go out there looking to land massive bombs, forget about everything else, trying to get Joseph Parker out of there. Let's get one thing clear. Joseph Parker is not Lucas Brown. We have evidence of this. Lucas Brown is a shot fighter now. Joseph Parker just went 12 with the unified champion Anthony Joshua. So there's levels to this. Parker won't be Brown. He's not going to be sort of standing in front of him, doing nothing and acting like a heavy back. He will be moving. He will be ducking, diving, weaving, trying to keep Whyte off balance, out of his rhythm, trying to get Whyte to reset his feet all the time so he can't, sort of get into position to land big shots on him consistently. So Whyte, he needs to come in with a very tactically smart game plan. He's going to need to try slow Parker down. Body shots, like I say, I think that's one way he will be able to do that. And he is capable of winning. It won't be easy, mind you, but he can do it. And he should expect this fight to go 12 rounds. Anything less, well, that's a bonus in my view. I'd be shocked if Joseph Parker got knocked out. A lot of people are saying that Whyte can do it and he will get Parker out of there early. I don't see that. I think Whyte should expect this fight to go the distance. And like Parker, he needs to start strong. Whyte needs to try win those opening rounds. Try build a lead on the cards. Or even if it's close, that is going to put some pressure on Joseph Parker. Joseph Parker won't like the scorecards being close, especially if it's starting to get towards the tail end of the fight. And that could leave some openings for Dillian Whyte to sort of work off if Parker is starting to get more aggressive or potentially get desperate, knowing that potentially a decision could go against him. So those later rounds, they could actually play into Dillian Whyte's hands, but he's got to start strong. Certainly it's all easier said than done, isn't it? What do you make of it all? Drop a comment loud and often. Hit like, hit subscribe, follow me on Twitter, boxing_squared. I'm out.